Number 1 talks about before Corey and I even got together, my mom and my husband developed a relationship, and that led to my mom mentioning me. If you haven't watched the video about my testimony, how God led me to my husband,
I suggest you go and watch it.
So my mom, she kind of, set that up, and I believe that she painted a beautiful picture because he was interested in your girl. Anyways, yeah, so he was just interested, but he wasn't moving in that because he didn't meet me, he didn't know anything about me. So my mom, she kind of created that sort of spark of chemistry, I would say, in him. On my end, since I already knew that he was going to be my husband since the age of 16, I was his friend on Facebook, and I would see the things that he would post. And I believe that that was the sparking of chemistry for me, because what he wrote about, it aligned with everything that I wanted in a man, in a husband. Somebody that was willing and ready to do the will of God and to obey God no matter how it looks to the public. Number 2, October 2016 was when we went on our first date. We went to Applebee's. And when we got into Applebee's, we sat down, we were about to order our meals. So all of a sudden, this old school song comes on called "This Is How We Do It" by Montel Jordan. This is how we do it. Now, I'm not the type of person that's gonna dance or kind of, groove in my seat. I'm not the person to do that, especially if I'm going out for the first time with somebody that I don't even know. But I do love Montel Jordan. I do love old school songs, R&B type songs. So when that came up, we were just kind of grooving and jamming in our seats. And it shocked both of us because we really didn't know that about the other person. So it was like, hey, something's there, hey. So then it led to our conversation. And he asked me questions like, how do I read the Bible, and what was my favorite book in the Bible, and we talked about politics, the Constitution. I mean, some really very intimidating things, I would say, on the first date to talk about. But if you have a man that knows where he's going, he doesn't have time to play games. He doesn't have time for those frivolous questions. He doesn't have time to ask those elementary school questions. So that was our connection. Our connection was our conversation. The third one is my sense of wholeness came to the point when I was praying for him and his potential future wife without knowing if that person was me. On August 6, 2016, this was before I started working at the job that I met him at. And it says, Lord, I feel a breakthrough coming on in my life. New things are taking place. A new job, a new attitude, a new purpose, a new will, and a new love. Lord, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that the one you have ordained for me is showing up. I just feel like it's all coming together. Like one day I'll be able to look back and tell this very story. Lord, if this is not the person you have for me, please guard my imaginative heart and mind. I pray for him without knowing what the future holds for both of us. I thank you that he continues to seek you first and that he never lacks motivation. But guard his heart from anything that is not of you. Make his mind sharp and innovative. Mold him into a strong leader, yet humble, and let him possess all the qualities of a true servant of you. That takes the submission of God's will. That is the heart of somebody that loves the Lord. That's the heart of a servant. And that's what you need to possess to be whole. You need to be able to literally put your desires on the altar and say, God, if this is not the one for me, I'm good. If you don't desire for me to be married, I'm good because I have you. And you are all that I need in my life. Are you single and satisfied? The fourth thing that you need is, my confirmation came through dreams. On January 12th of 2016, that was when I had my first dream about my husband. And at the end of my journal entry, I was wondering if it was a sign of God who my future husband was. I'm not sure, but I will pray on it. So at that time, like I said, I wasn't sure if he was the one for me. I just assumed that this was just my mind kind of playing games on me, and since the age of 16, I was calling him my future husband. So that's kind of what I thought it was. Over time, God gave me more dreams, more confirmations, and on August 29th, I went in for my first interview at the job where I met him at. So I went into my interview, and that night I was kind of wrestling with God, because God wanted me to pray for my boss father. But I was like, God, how you gonna make me pray for this person? I don't even know if I'm gonna get the job. So after I stopped wrestling with God, and I finally decided that, you know what, I'm gonna listen and I'm gonna be obedient to what God told me to do. So I go in for the interview. After the interview is over, I say, can I pray for your father? So she says, of course you can. So after I finished praying for her father, she says, and I quote, "You are just like Corey. When he found out that my dad had surgery, he said, can I pray for you?" When I was wrestling with God, he told me, you don't know how this will bless you and her. And I just thought he meant, hey, I got the job. But it wasn't until she said those words that I realized the blessing that was over my life. Because she didn't know our situation. She didn't know that I was claiming that he was my husband at the age of 16, now being 19. She didn't know the dreams I had. She had no idea. That was another confirmation. And it's very important that you write your confirmations down. You write all these things down. If I did not have these things, I wouldn't believe it myself. It almost seems too good to be true, the favor that God places over your life when you obey Him. The fifth thing is, for a long time, I didn't understand what my purpose was. People would always ask, even in school, people would always say, what do you want to be when you grow up? What is your purpose in life? You should go here, you should do that. Everybody had a suggestion for me. And that was at that time, at the age of 17, 18, that I started to form a relationship with God, because I didn't know what to do. I had questions that no man could give me the answers to. So that was when I turned to God. He took that pressure off of me, where I was able to put my life in the hands of God and say, God, I trust you. And whatever you want to do in my life, you do it. So because of that, I did not go to college. And most people looking into my life, they would say, man, how is that benefiting you in your marriage if you don't have a degree in something? Well, I look at it like this, and I know that God saved me from college for multiple reasons. First of all, getting involved in the wrong relationships. Second of all, I did not bring any student loans into my marriage. The only thing that I brought was my car note. I didn't have any credit cards. I was just starting my life out, so that is a huge benefit. Now, being a housewife and not working, it's a huge benefit that I did not place that unnecessary burden on my husband, and that I was obedient to what God wanted me to do. Had I not been listening to the will of God, I would have went to college and I would have just been struggling, trying to figure out what it is that I want to do, following my friends, being pressured into certain things. And that's not what God had in mind for me. Your purpose on this earth is to be obedient to whatever God wants you to do. When I met my husband, 3 things that he told me that he was passionate about. So I struggle with, man, what are my passions? What are my gifts? What are my talents? What is my purpose in life? But then I had to go back in Genesis, and I read how God formed Eve. You see, Adam was the one with the purpose. He was the one that was to lead his family. Eve was to complement his purpose and to submit her purpose under his. They both complement each other. So if it isn't made clear yet what your purpose is, all you need to do is obey God, and in time He will reveal your purpose, your passion, your gifts. He will reveal all those things to you. Don't stress out. All you have to do is be obedient to the will of God. Be obedient, and every day He will guide you. Every day He will order your steps. Every day He will, but you have to seek Him. You have to trust Him. 2 bonus tips that I have for you is that the man that God has for you, He will not come to play with you. He will not come to play with your heart. He will not come to play with your emotions. He will not come to ask you questions like, what kind of underwear do you have on? He's not about wasting His time. He's not coming to play. He's coming with a purpose, and He's out there and He's looking for you. But you have to be constantly on your grind in the Spirit. And my last bonus tip is to be quiet. When you have those confirmations, when God gives you a promise over your life, sometimes God wants you to be quiet to practice patience. And it was hard for me to do at times, because when God revealed that He was my husband, I wanted to tell everybody. You don't have to prove yourself to everybody. You don't have to tell everybody this is the one that God has for me. In time, I will reveal it. And I get the glory for it. Not you, not your mom, not your family, but I get the glory for it. You don't have any part in this. You're not the producer of your life. You just play the role that I give you. And that's what He revealed unto me. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to watch Pastor Torre's video as he beautifully describes the 5 keys to identifying your soulmate. And I pray that you have a wonderful day.